Pousse un petit peu. Pas trop. Alright. Je m'arrête comme ça.
I mean, it's like, yeah,
What?
too fast. It's like the muscle. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you think you know the words in your head and you're trying to say it, and it's like it doesn't even come out right.
No.
Good morning.
Rock here.
Nancy here.
She's got the power.
I've got the power.
I have the power. Like He-Man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing
How is
today?
everybody doing?
It's
Come
Friday.
on, it's Friday.
It's going to be one of those days. Expect a lot of rain today. Oh my goodness.
Thank the Lord.
I think it's good. It's going to wash up all the streets.
Wash away all that winter
snow.
mold.
Yeah, exactly.
Snow mold, they call
It's
it,
like,
I guess.
It's like every season has a way, like Mother Nature
cleanse.
has a way of like cleansing itself. Hey,
Rain is a good cleanser.
Season. Oh, of course.
Which is why we shower.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
same
it's true.
thing.
That is so true. Yeah. So, how was your week this week? How was your challenge this week?
I survived.
Yeah?
I did really well.
You did? Well, I mean, I think we're pretty good when it comes to adding the 60% vegetables on our plate and
100%.
a small portion of protein and a small portion of carbs.
Yeah.
Fats. Fats, I mean, it's pretty much in everything, like the healthy fats. So
Avocado. Some meats.
Yeah, oils that we use and
Not too much.
yeah, no,
Just enough.
exactly, and meat and eggs and anyway. So yeah, it was a really good week for that, and to be more mindful of how to reconfigure your plate.
Yeah.
The way it best serves you.
That's right.
Because animal protein, whether you like it or not, is acidic and it creates inflammation. So you want to add a bit more plants to kind of wash that out, to
and then
help
you also
get into the pH levels in more acidic levels.
Yeah, you also want to make sure
alkaline.
that you're getting good quality animal protein.
Absolutely.
As much as possible, grass-fed, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to stay away from any sort of meat that was put in an environment where it was stressed to the max all the time.
Oh my God, yeah.
Now, we know that farming is, in itself, it's kind of destructive in a way, because you are taking lives.
Right.
We understand that.
But to be raised humanely?
But to be raised humanely where they can, they can go in the pastures and they can live a decent life.
Right.
Is better than being chained or in cages their whole lives. There's a lesser of two evils there.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's just be real with animals in farming. They, in general, live better lives than animals in nature.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the naturally raised, grass-fed, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, big time.
They're taken care of, they're really protected, and when they're at their peak, the life is just taken away. As opposed to an animal in the forest, when they die,
Which that's the way it's supposed to be.
they often get eaten alive by bugs and other creatures.
That's
so
true.
it's we used to be vegan, and I used to say, freaking animal farming, and then I realized, well, wait a minute, how would it happen in nature? And in nature, when an animal usually gets old, it gets sick, and it dies, it kind of hobbles away and slowly dies. But it doesn't just die like this. It takes time, right? And in the meantime,
there's a certain amount of suffering before it dies.
There's suffering, right?
Yeah.
And the bugs have already started chewing at it, and the birds have already started picking at it while it's still alive.
Yeah.
So it's actually more humane in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, the sad truth is there are more factory farming than there are local farms who take care of their. I mean, care of their
shop local for your meat.
Their animals like they're their pets.
Yeah.
And the one we're speaking to more of the factory farming where they're fed grains, soy or corn, which they're not meant to eat that. And then because they're not meant to eat that, they get sick. Not only that, but their environment, they rarely see daylight. They're in these little stalls, and they're so they hardly move, so they get fat, they get sick, and then they get injected antibiotics and hormones to make sure that they're not sick, so they can sell the product.
Yeah, we buy mostly local stuff if we can.
So I think the quality of the meat, the quality of the protein, and plus of that, and that's
and the
where
portion.
And the portion,
matters.
exactly.
You wouldn't want to eat a 12-ounce steak.
No, oh my goodness.
A 10-ounce steak. It's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
You know, like, what would you say, like a 6-ounce?
I don't even know. Like the palm of your hand.
Palm of your hand.
And
whatever that is.
Yeah. If you have big hands, well.
Well, if you have big hands, it usually means you're a bigger person.
Right.
And you can handle a bit more, right?
Yeah.
You got to eat also to your size.
Palm of your hand is
Palm of your hand, yeah.
But I mean, and that's the thing. Like when those animals are fed that diet, they're likely to be high in omega-6 and omega-9s, which those cause inflammation. And when we eat
the meat turns that way.
Yeah, and when we eat that, it causes inflammation in our body. But when they're fed, like when they eat grass, then that increases their omega-3, which we eat the omega-3, and then that's the healthy fatty chain acid. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what you want to consider. Eat local. I mean, if you can buy local meat, if you can go visit the farm.
Yeah. I think with anything, like this pandemic is showing me to buy more local, like buy local. Like it's like you want to support your own country, your own town, and as much as possible because it's everything is so frail. Like it's like
keep the money local.
Yeah, because it's like everybody's like really having a hard time staying open and
that's right.
So if you can support a family that's been in the business for years, and that's right. You know, I mean, we all vote with our dollars. So
that's how you really vote.
At the end of the day,
voting at the poll booth, or whatever you call that, voting booth, makes very little difference, except for changing the color of who's in charge. Voting with your dollar, that's a lot.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Because whatever you buy will keep being produced.
Yeah.
So if it's garbage, they're going to keep producing it. If it's good quality, well, you're helping that person.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about being more mindful of like about your food and like the quality of your food, the quantity of your food.
Yeah.
How to reconfigure your plate. It just because it's really not about cutting out everything.
No.
I think it's really about adding more of the good stuff and then making less room of the bad stuff.
That's right.
And then have that 80-20 rule where it's like you're gonna have that once in a while and then get back on track on the highway and highway to health.
Highway to hell. Highway. That's a funny thing.
Yeah. Highway to hell. I like that. Anyway.
All right.
So questions and answers today. We have questions. You have questions.
We all have questions.
We all have questions.
Who's got the answers? Who knows?
I have a question for you guys. Are you seeking therapy? No, for real. I'm serious. I'm asking this question, and it's the reason I'm asking is because I'm entering the realm of therapy these days, like the last 4 weeks, I would say. And prior to that, I didn't think I needed any therapy. Like I just everything's good. But there's a part of me that was like, I'm curious. Maybe it would do me some good. There's maybe that missing element to my healing because I would be totally great during the day, and then I would find myself feeling a little anxious before I go to bed. So I'm like, something's up. So maybe because it's like you're healing yourself with food, you're healing your mind with developing a mindful, a mindfulness practice. You're training your mind, you're training your body.
Yeah.
So you're doing all these great things, but sometimes that's just not enough, right? So
we got a question here.
Nice.
You don't have to do that. I can read it.
Okay.
Is there a difference between hemp hearts and hemp seeds?
No. It's usually hemp hearts.
So I think hemp seeds is what you use to grow the plant. Hemp hearts come from the plant.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yes.
So.
But that's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah,
I always buy hemp hearts. I never
Always
seen
hemp
hemp seeds. I don't know. I buy hemp hearts. I think it's like the sprouted of the hemp seed.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. But anyway, I buy hemp hearts.
The hemp heart comes from the actual plant.
Yeah. Hemp hearts.
I could be wrong, but it doesn't make sense to me that the seed and the heart would be the same thing.
Right.
Unless if the hemp heart is the seed.
Yeah.
I gotta Google it now. I gotta know.
All I know is that that's what I use to add protein in my smoothies. I don't buy the protein powders. I buy the direct source, the whole food.
Hemp.
The whole food.
And marijuana are. What are you doing? I'll read it. I'll read it. It says yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Hemp and marijuana plants per se, or cannabis, is a miracle plant. It's unbelievable. I'm an avid smoker. I wouldn't say avid.
I wouldn't say.
I smoke
You're
three times a week, give or take. and sometimes I take edibles.
But
beyond that, the hemp or marijuana, mostly hemp, is such a fantastic plant. Like, there's so many things you can do with that besides smoking it and getting high or medicinal purposes. You can build houses with that.
Oh, yeah.
You can make clothes, rope, everything, paper. And it's such a renewable or like a resource as opposed to trees, because you can grow a full field of hemp in a season, or maybe 2 a season, depending where you live, right?
Yeah.
And they're miracle tactile plant, and even for medicinal purposes and also recreational. We've been, taught that marijuana is the devil's lettuce, but it's not. It's a lot of propaganda. And if you really do a bit of research on hemp and the marijuana plant, one of the reasons why it's illegal, or was illegal in the States and then here, was because at the time, the owner of like 4 newspapers had acres and acres and acres and acres of land that he would use his own trees to print the paper. And he was the one who lobbied against this marijuana plant, which was also being used at the time to you can use hemp to feed animals, stuff like that. Miracle plant. So I'm just happy that right now there's a lot of the stigma that's removed from that. And see, we have this idea, this kind of like mindset where you wouldn't want anybody around your kids smoking a joint. Like an adult smoking a joint near your kids, but it's okay if the adult is drinking 10 beer around your kids, which is a drug. But we've been conditioned to believing that, oh, this is okay and that's not okay. Sugar is also a drug, and we give that to our kids by the bucketful, and that seems to be okay. Anything that alters your state of mind is a drug. That's the definition of a drug, is something that will alter your state of mind. And I just would like for people to be a bit more open towards that aspect of the marijuana plant and the hemp plant.
Right.
Even the skin cream you bought is from Canada. The oils are from that. So it's beneficial.
Well, there you go.
There's your public service announcements. I'm here all week. Try the veal.
But I want to speak to that a little bit. I think it also it depends why you're using it. And
as anything else. I think
if it's used in a way of escaping or in a way of numbing out certain emotions, to get into an altered state where you just want to escape
100%.
or numb or whatever, I think that's where it needs to be rectified and check.
You could say that about anything, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You could say that about food. You could say that about coffee. You could say that about porn. You could say that about movies. You could say that anything.
Is that drug addictive?
No.
No.
There's no addictive compound. I think what you get addicted to is not necessarily the drug itself, but it's the habit. It's a habit forming, right?
Oh yeah, like any other habit.
Like any other. But it's like if I don't smoke for a week or two,
You're not experiencing any
I'm not having any withdrawal. I may be a little bit more grumpy, but I mean, other than that, that's easily regulated by my own mindset.
Okay. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It's not like I'm jonesing in bed. The cold sweats. I need some weed. You got some weed, man? It's not like that.
Okay.
It's not like that at all.
All right.
For me. For me.
So now that you just do it more so on the weekends, how do you feel during the week? Do you miss it? Do you feel like there's something missing?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Cool. Do you feel like because sometimes when it's time to do the real work, it's necessary to take those things out. Like for me, when I needed to do the real work, I had part of the reason was to quit drinking. Because it was like
quit drinking alcohol.
It was drinking alcohol, and it was damaging some of the brain cells and excessive
drinking.
Well, I was drinking excessively.
Yeah.
So it was like.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like years ago. It was very excessive. And a lot of those years, I don't even remember because we were like drinking almost every day, and it was just burning some brain cells and all that stuff. But when it came time to do the real work, it was time to put that aside and feel all what was suppressing, you know.
All those emotions. Yeah.
All those emotions, and
because they get stored in your body. All the emotion gets stored in your body.
Absolutely.
Childhood trauma specifically will get stored in your body.
Yeah.
It's incredible how the body and the mind works, because it will store that because it doesn't want you to feel it. But in return, that stored energy is what's going to end up causing you hardship in the future.
Yeah.
Because when you're little, your brain is advanced, and your brain says, "Ooh, your brain can't handle it. You can't handle this kind of reality."
Especially if it's developing.
Yeah, you're developed, so it kind of numbs it down and it makes you forget. Because you wouldn't be prepared for that when you were little. But the problem is, sometimes when you get older, you don't want to go there anymore because it's been so long.
Oh, you don't even know how.
Or
because I find like my defense mechanism was just forgetting a lot of the things that happened growing up, and then you're thinking to yourself, I'm doing all the right things, you know. Like me, when I feel like I'm losing control within, I tend to go to food to heal myself with food, because it helped me before. So that's my go-to, is to go heal myself with food. And
garbage food.
Just to get with
nutrition. Now.
With
yeah.
nutrition,
Okay,
right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like I know that worked for me to heal my anxiety. So every time I feel anxious or out of control or a certain emotions, I tend to be like, okay, I'm gonna go be extra strict with food. But then there's that's when I discovered, like, okay, I think it's not just about that. I think there's a reason.
Here's the thing about what you're saying. I agree that eating healthier foods will benefit you 100%.
Yes.
But
it's not the mainstay.
Anytime you're going to reach for an external thing to fix an internal problem, whether that external thing is good for you, it's never going to heal that problem.
Yes, exactly. So that's when I'm like, okay, well, 3 4 weeks ago, I was like, so I'm eating all the right foods, I'm doing all the right things in my mindfulness practice. How come I'm still feeling a bit anxious when I go to bed? So then that question was like, well, you know, maybe all of those suppressed emotions that because my defense mechanism was just to suppress it and forget about it. And literally, that was like, I would forget. And then things would come up with this therapist, and I was like, okay. So then for me, it was to quickly analyze that. And she's like, I don't want you to analyze this. I want you to feel it, because you need to feel those in order to heal it. And my defense mechanism was also because in the mindfulness practice, you want to use compassion and empathy as a form of forgiveness onto others. But that can work against you if you're trying to feel it and trying to validate your own feelings. So I was like basically showing compassion and empathy for the people who, you know, like did me wrong, if you will. And then I was like, well, you know, that's their pain projecting onto me, and, you know, like, you know, suffering causes suffering and all that. I was using all these things, and there's some truth to that.
It's 100%
which is why I'm forgiving them. But then I was using that as a way of just validating their needs in front of my own. So it's just, there's that fine.
Yeah, and it's like it's disguising it as healing, but you're not really healing.
Right. So I'm not.
It's part of your healing.
Yeah, I'm not taking that time to validate my own feelings, and so it's just when it comes to my mindfulness practice and work like developing a spiritual practice, there's some truth to all of it. Yeah. But it has to resonate with you.
No, yeah. See, I understand mentally that my father was also abused by his father, and then all that kind of train wreck, right?
Yeah.
I understand that mentally, and also to a certain extent, I understand that spiritually, how that's taxing, and I understand why maybe my father was kind of like lost in his own way.
Right.
And it still doesn't excuse what he did, even though I forgive him, right? There's no excuse. And now it's for me is to understand, well, why am I angry? Why do I get angry sometimes? You know, because when I get angry, it's not about what's in front of me. It's maybe that's just a trigger, right? But it's what's harbored inside my body, my soul, if you will, and that's released.
Yeah, and you grew up in that environment where those things were swept under the rug. So it's like you grew up being conditioned that way.
I was conditioned to minimize it, to sweep under the carpet, that it was done and over with, or that it was, you know, whatever the softener was, you know.
Yeah, he did his time.
He did his time. You know, he's a good person. It's like, well, I understand all that, but what about me?
Yeah.
You know, like what about what happened to me when I was a kid? Like,
exactly,
it's traumatizing, and it's stuck in your head.
Yeah,
Because when childhood trauma happens to you repetitive over and over, and your brain is developing at the same time, what happens to you around you becomes of that operating software in your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're raised in a super toxic environment, behind closed doors, your brain is interacting with that and also interpreting that and developing into its own self with that in the actual hardwire of the brain.
Wow.
The brain will form and shape and shift itself based on your environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So when you're in your developing stages, it stays with you. It's woven into the fabric of your brain.
Yeah. That's super powerful.
It's not like I was in a car accident once. I was in a car accident every day for
4 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, right?
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
That's the major difference.
Yeah, and that was the main takeaway so far with this therapy, is just like, you need to feel that. It's like, because I would automatically go into analyzing it and not really feeling it, and it's just autopilot. It's just I didn't even know I was doing that.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had this episode where I was thinking about something in my childhood, and I was automatically going into, that person had a lot of pain, and I'm like, wait. I caught myself, and I started feeling that.
You're minimizing your feelings because you're always trying to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really force myself
You do that because you're trying to rationalize.
Yes.
And you're trying to justify their behavior. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Using compassion and...
It's not about that. It's about how you feel or how you felt, right?
Yeah.
When that was happening to you.
Right.
We all know that hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
We know that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
In the mind.
Yeah.
But how do you heal from yourself? So you don't become the hurt person hurting other people, right?
Yeah, so I was feeling that yesterday, and of course it was like me when I'm massaging, it's my sacred place. It's like it's quiet, there's relaxation music happening. The person's usually sleeping. So of course
because you're that good.
And so I'm just I felt that emotion, and I allowed myself to feel it even more and more and more. And it was, as I was peeling that onion, I was like, oh, that's really painful. And then I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden I started crying as I was massaging my client. And not like full blown, but I could, but I could have, but I didn't. And I should have. Anyway.
Wow.
I
think there's a time and there's a place.
I know.
I'm just saying.
No, I know.
For me personally.
No, I know. But the thing, what I felt exhausted afterwards. Oh, I could have slept. Part of it because I was holding some of it in, and part of it because I was actually touching that. So whatever pain you're going to be feeling throughout your life,
Emotional
pain, any type of pain really. It's painful coming in, so it's going to be painful coming out. And I think a lot of people, that's why they don't want to go there. No, don't go there with me. Like, don't you dare go there.
Don't you dare open that can of worms.
But it's necessary. It's super necessary. And and like I said, therapy is really for the courageous. It's really for people who want to better themselves, have a better quality of life in and around them, for the people, for themselves, for the people around them. And I think we have to remove that stigma around therapy. I think
therapy is a gift you really give yourself, I think.
Super, super much.
I think.
I'm
contemplating it more and more.
Yeah. I think I'm working on you. I really think this person is really, really good. And that's another point. Pick someone or a therapy that resonates with you. Because we've had couple therapy in the past, and it was like, meh, I feel like we're teaching them a few things. Like they're taking notes.
They're taking notes. Wow, you guys are really smart. You guys really know your stuff.
Well, we did the work.
Yeah, we did the work. We get it.
So this person, she's teaching me. There's value there. So I think you need to find that thing that really resonates with you.
We'll see if we can find a therapist that can match this genius.
She's really good.
I'm mostly kidding.
I know.
I'm mostly kidding.
I think it would do you some good. For sure.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend.
As always.
We love you. We're thinking about you. And we'll see you guys Monday morning at 7:15.
Be a good person. Come on.